Hello and welcome to the Connection Compass. I'm your host, Andrea Louise Evans. To find out more about my work, please visit andrealevans.com. At the end of the last series, I taught through a brief introduction of the Connection Compass framework, a body of work I've created over the past 7 years. In this episode, I'm revisiting the framework again, but this time presenting the whole of the compass and delving a little deeper into the elements. So get yourself comfy and listen in. I can remember the moment that the idea that we need to grow a culture of care and connection became apparent. I was standing in a workshop that I had created, and I was listening to the conversations around the room on a task I had set for discussion. As I walked around the room listening, I realized that there was a common theme of human struggle amongst the conversations. The participants were talking about self-confidence, self-esteem, and generally worrying that actions they were taking were right. From outward appearances, you would never have known that this group of people would be experiencing this, but of course, it's a very human thing to do so. We all have those worries and concerns. We all struggle with our self-esteem and confidence sometimes. My perception that they were managers, that they ran a business, they were incredibly capable and good at what they do, and so wouldn't have these worries or concerns, was way out of kilter with their reality. And I knew then that we needed to create a deeper layer to our working culture of care and connection. Our modern day world seems to thrive, and not in a good way, on surface level judgments. It's so fast paced that there seems to be little time to stop and look beyond the skin's surface, to look deeper into situations. When you hear people saying to another person, well, you're privileged, or he's a white man, so he's privileged, it's only a surface level perception and may not be a reflection of that person's internal reality at all. In the world of semantics, these two distinct viewpoints for observing a human being are built into the very nature of human observation, which is equally capable of being internally self-aware as well as externally aware. In the work of Thomas Hanna, he says that the soma means body, being internally perceived, is categorically distinct from a body, not because the subject is different, but that the mode of viewpoint is different. It is a immediate proprioception, a sensory mode that provides unique data. He goes on to say that failure to recognize the categorical difference between first-person observation often leads to fundamental misunderstandings. At the time, I never saw the work of the Connection Compass framework going any further than my professional career, or to be anything more than changing my approach to something more softer and holistic. But as the years have passed, new elements to this work have been added. The work has shaped and molded into something that I could never quite imagine. Almost like a big jigsaw puzzle coming together without having any idea of what the picture looked beforehand. What I have learned about myself growing this body of work over 7 years is that I love growing ideas, that when I've met an impasse, that it's not a sign to give up, but an opportunity to step back and reflect, learn something new, or just to rest, and that I am far more capable than I think I am. Growing an idea like this is not a linear journey, and it doesn't always make sense. It's just holding onto that inner knowing, that anchor that keeps you going, that eventually you will get somewhere. The Connection Compass is a living tapestry of thought, feeling, emotion, awareness, and a holistic approach to life. The framework consists of 2 compasses, the inner and the outer compass, reflecting our inner and outer world. And there are 16 elements that interacts with the two compasses, which can be simplified into 5 categories: awareness and nourishment, foundation and support, expression and empowerment, activation and momentum, and inspiration and fulfillment. The framework can be used in many different ways, but at its most simplest, we can use it as a framework for conversation to establish connection with ourselves, with earth and nature, our hearts and intuition, the places we live and work in, and each other, to build a culture of caring connection for a more interconnected world. The framework embraces the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of our well-being, a holistic approach. But I think it's really important to clarify by what I mean by spiritual in terms of the work of the framework. I'm referring to the energetic part of our being, the compassion we hold, the connectedness that we have with ourselves, our work, our home, where we live, our sense of control, fulfillment, our consciousness, our discipline and gratitude. I'm also referring to our self-discovery, expression and awareness, the intentions that we hold for ourselves, our purpose, acceptance, open-mindedness, our perspective, the ability to forgive, and our ability to create. So first, if we turn our attention to the inner compass, which reflects our inner world, it has 4 points to the compass: the self, nature, earth, heart and intuition, and each other. It's at the inner compass that we will meet ourselves and begin to explore who we are, how we feel and think about any moments that we may find ourselves in. It's the opportunity to take the time to go inwards and hear ourselves, understand, know, and love ourselves. It's here that we will develop a deep connection and relationship with ourselves, being aware of the beliefs and feelings we hold about ourselves. Some will support you to move forwards, and some won't support us at all and hold us back. There will be times that we are called to heal parts of our soul so we can return to live from the heart once more, and healing may come in waves. There will be times that we will be able to support ourselves through this time, and there will be moments when we need to heal with family and friends and hold a knowing when we need something more, like a trusted professional to speak to. The study of the self in yoga is called Svadhyaya. We may use the term self-inquiry, or in terms of somatics, the study of the body from ourselves. It's here that we develop our sense of self. And of course, it's transient. We change throughout our lives. Experiences shape and change us. The more we understand, hear, and love ourselves, the more that we are able to hold space for others. In meeting the self, here we may learn how we support and nourish ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We may become aware of how our needs change throughout the year, or at certain points, certain life events that we experience through life. Noticing is a really big key element to the self in the inner compass. We come to hold deep compassion and forgiveness for ourselves. The work here is lifelong, but the more we can do this for ourselves, the more we'll be able to hold space for others along the way. As we lean into the second point of the compass, which is nature and earth, we will have some understanding of ourselves and how we operate. Here we look towards nature and the earth and seasons and cycles of the moon, and how they can support us to connect our internal world with our external world. Modern day living has reduced human existence to so many labels, but our human selves are so much more. We have so much possibility and potential within ourselves. There is so much to learn, not just from the world around us, but from each other. We may find connection at the surface, but real human connection is found deep down at our roots, embedded in the earth we all live upon. Leaning into the consistency of the seasons restores our faith and trust in life when our hearts have been irrevocably broken. Leaning into the seasons, developing a connection to earth, the home that connects us all, provides a sense of belonging. If for some reason you feel your sense of belonging is out of sync, as we all do at points in our lives, know that you belong here. If there is any doubt in that, the earth moves at a speed of 460 miles per hour per second, or roughly 1,000 miles per hour. Gravity pulls us all to the center of the Earth, holding you in place. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, or how you feel, you are meant to be here. Our modern day social constructs teach us that belonging is external to us, but in fact, it's an inside job. If we do not have a sense of belonging to ourselves or our roots on Earth, we are unlikely to find a sense of belonging anywhere else. Again, belonging is transient and it can change over time. Our life experiences often change how we feel in terms of belonging. So returning to Earth and nature keeps us steady and grounded. It's a journey from the roots of the earth and into your heart, and living from a place of resilience, hope, optimism when things become tough. Embracing the seasons and a seasonally guided life does not mean we are living a linear life, but holding an awareness over each season provides us with a reference point for us to return to when we are pulled away from our center. Traditionally, wintertime is a rest time, but if you have deadlines and projects that you're working on and the pulls of family and friends and other things clashing in your world, then having that time to rest in winter is often extremely difficult. This isn't about being unrealistic, but holding awareness of where you should be, and in the quiet moments that you prioritize that rest just for you, for yourself. And it's not just me that's talking about this. Research studies have identified that spending time in green spaces and nature can improve our mood, help us feel more relaxed, improve confidence and self-esteem. In the Mental Health Foundation report in 2021 on how nature benefits our mental health, it's not just about the time that we spend in nature. Obviously, that can support our well-being, but it's also about how much we notice, think, and feel and appreciate our natural surrounding. That is also critical in supporting good mental health and preventing stress. It's about our interconnectedness with nature. Whilst connecting to nature, we may work with the energetic part of our being, working with the yin and the yang energy. Remember, the yin energy is the feminine and the yang energy is the masculine. This is about the energy of what we hold. The spring and the summer are typically masculine in nature. Leading up to the autumnal equinox, the yin and the yang energies will work together and come into complete balance as we reach the equinox. As we reach the equinox, the yang energy recedes and the yin energy comes to the fore for the remainder of autumn and through the winter season. When working with the seasons, I often refer to Chinese philosophy Taoism. In life, we often look at different disciplines to help us and support us make sense of things. The way of the Tao encourages to live in the heart, that we are all connected, that we should live from a place of authenticity, vulnerability, and imperfection, healthy striving, and environmental stewardship. And I often turn to Taoism because I do feel that it does have a place in today's work to support us with some of the issues that we face. And in normal life anyway, we often tend to look for different disciplines and sources of information to help us make sense of things and help us to move forward. The energy of the yin and yang can often be found in other disciplines, not just Taoism. So it's something that we might come across in Reiki or in yoga philosophy too. With our grounding and connection to nature and our knowledge of what nourishes us and supports us, we can own the stability, trust, and faith we have in nature to enter the heart space and work with our intuition and continue to build on the foundation of trust and faith in life and open our hearts to our possibility and potential. In the inner compass, our relationship will often include others and how we think and feel about those around us. We will become aware of how others have shaped our values, morals, and internal dialogue. We'll become aware of how our stories are embedded within generations before us, and that they may not be true for us now. We often sense and feel these things within our energetic being. We carry the stories of those who have gone before us. And although we hold them, these stories may no longer be relevant for us in this modern day world. There are also the memories of how others have made us feel along the way, that we may never have been truly heard or seen or understood. And there will be those people who have championed us along the way, being full of aware of our possibility and potential. And there will be those that have suppressed our possibility and potential for their own gain. It's in the inner compass that we will be aware of our prejudices and biases, subtle judgments we hold for others, even though they may or may not be true. The stories we hold of others, even though we may not know that person, may feel awkward and uncomfortable, but we will hold an awareness of how we impact others too with our behavior through action or non-action, and the relationships we have with others. We will question, do we feel safe with that person? Do we feel seen and heard and understood? And do we do that for others? It's here that we will examine how we express ourselves and communicate our needs, set boundaries with others too. So now if we come to the external compass begins with the self again, followed by nature, earth, culture of care and connection, and the interconnected world. The external compass is about the self, but this time not from an internal perspective, but from the outside world, and how we operate, working towards a culture of care and connection, moving towards an interconnected world. From the work we have done in the internal compass, we will have more of a sense of self and what is in alignment for us. We will have an awareness of our impact of others and how others impact us, and how we relate to each other too. We will have an awareness of our interactions and whether we are doing work that matches our values, skills, and talents. We will be aware of how we are meeting our needs, wants, hearts, desires, and that we will have more resilience in overcoming obstacles and hold awareness for all that holds us back. We will move through life at a pace that is right for us and seek opportunities to support us to move forwards. The agency of our own life is our responsibility, and embrace the life we have and the possibility and potential that we hold. In the external compass, in the external world, we continue to care for our world, uphold environmental stewardship. We may embrace a seasonally guided life or be actively involved in environmental issues in our own unique way that feels right for us. The sense of self and awareness that we will have found in the inner compass, we can then come together in the places that we live and work in to build that culture of care and connection, because we have that greater sense of self of what we truly need to feel cared for and connected. And once we can do that for ourselves, we can do that for others too, with clarity and purpose. In the outer compass, we would examine the current culture that we have, what we want to do to improve, and how we want to support people to feel safe, supported, and valued. Because when we feel safe, supported, and valued, we have a sense of being protected. And when those elements are in place, we can feel empowered and motivated, leaving us feeling energized, inspired, and fulfilled with whatever we want to do and where we are. It's in the outer compass that we do not shy away from the problems we face in the outer world, but learn to understand them at their most basic roots and at a depth that is needed, because trying to solve problems from any other place is just a sticking plaster with cracks underneath and not a long-term solid solution. Being honest and open about what is really happening fosters a culture of openness with safety. It empowers others to be themselves, be creative, and be unique individuals that they are, bringing their own perspectives and thinking about things differently. So what about me in all of this? Where do I fit in with this work? Well, as you know, I've been building this work for 7 years around connection. Different sections of it have been worked on at different times, but the actual work at the Inner Compass I've been working on for about 14 years, investing in self-development, healing practices, courses that have supported me to understand myself better and how my internal world operates and how that impacts my external world and vice versa. There have been times during these 14 years that there have been periods of healing and that I've had to reach out to family and friends, or that I've had to seek out a trusted professional to support me. I think it's really important to understand that our healing journeys are very deep and sacred and private, and you should never feel under duress to heal your area of your life. What I've learned is that these things come up very naturally as and when you need to. It's just always important to seek the right support for you in these moments. Sometimes I've gone way too deep, exploring different archetypes of Jungian psychology and how we recognize them with ourselves and how they interact with others or with ourselves. I don't think anyone needs to do all that unless you're called to and you think it's right for you. And maybe I've done that, go into that depth because I've had to bring the work of the Connection Compass framework forwards. I would never, ever tell you that I have the answers, but what I do have and what I've learned and grown along the way, the past 7 years, may be a contribution to support and hold others somewhere someday. I think perhaps when you listen to me speak about the Connection Compass is the internal, external, and you may feel that it's too spiritual or it might feel a little bit off the mark, but it is a holistic approach. So it does embrace the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I think we often see or refer to spiritual stuff as woo-woo, or uh, sometimes it can feel really ungrounded, but spirituality is part of the human experience and doesn't necessarily mean dancing under the moon or dancing around a fire or rituals. Sometimes it's just about our internal self and the energy that we carry. And to me, this work doesn't feel woo-woo at all. I appreciate that hearing it in the first instances, it might feel like that, but actually it's very, very grounded and is about having a deeper sense of self and that deeper connection, and that what we learn about ourselves that we can take out into this external world and make the world a better place, and that we create this world that is based on connection and more interconnected with the elements of living, ourselves, each other, nature, and that has so many benefits for us, you know, and the places that we live and work in and the cultures that we have there as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. But thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Connection Compass. And if you think the episode will help someone else, please leave a review. If you have any questions, please visit Andrea L. Evans' Facebook page. And remember to keep talking, keep connecting for a more interconnected world.